Okay. Hare Krishna Mata, Hare Krishna Prabhu. So can we sing for a few minutes?
Yes, Prabhuji, please.
Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Gopi Jana Vallabha Girivardhari Gopi Jana Vallabha Girivardhari Yashodanandana Brajajanarandana Yashodanandana Brajajanarandana Yamuna Tira Vanachari Tira Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Kunja Bihari Gopi Jana Vallabha Girivardhari Gopi Jana Vallabha Girivardhari Yashodanandana Brajajanarandana Yashodanandana Brajajanarandana Yamuna Tira Vanachari Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Vihari Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Vihari Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama Hare Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama Hare Rama Rama Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama Hare Rama Rama Hare Hare Jaya Prabhupada 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 Jaya Prabhu Jaya Guru Deva 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 Gaur Brahmanande Hari Hari Bol Jam Vishnupat Paramahansa Paribhajikacharya Ashtadhara Sadasi Simatila Bhai Charnaravinda Bhakti Vedanta Swami Jagat Guru Srila Prabhupada ki jai Ananta Vaishnavinda ki jai Guru Parampara ki jai Ramananda Rai ki jai Disappearance Day of Ramananda Rai ki jai Prabhupada Vaishnavinda ki jai Nitai Gaur Brahmanande Om Ajnanatimirandhasya Enanjanasalakaya chakshurmilitam jena tasmai Sri Guruve Namah. Sri Chaitanya Manobishtam Sthapitam Jena Bhutale Sayam Rupa Kada Mahyam Dadati Padantikam Vandeham Sri Guru Sri Jutapada Kamalam Sri Gurun Vaishnavangscha Sri Rupam Sagrajatam Sahagana Raghunatanitam Tam Sajivam Sadaitam Savadhutam Parijana Sahitam Krishna Chaitanya Devam Sri Radha Krishna Padan Sahagana Lalita Sri Vishakhantam Nama Om Vishnu Padaya Krishna Prestaya Bhutale Srimate Bhakti Vedanta Samini Tinamine Namaste Saraswati Deve Gauravani Pracharine Nirvisesha Sunnavani Paschata Deshatarine Vancha Kalpataruvescha Kripa Sindhu Bhaivacha Titanam Pavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo Namo 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 Mahavadannaya Krishna Prema Pradayate Krishnaya Krishna Chaitanya Namne Gauratishe Nama He Krishna Karuna Sindhu Dina Bandhu Jagatpate Gopesha Gopika Kanta Radha Kanta Namostute Tapta Kanchana Gourangi Radhe Vrindavaneshwari Vichabhanusute Pranamami Hari Priye Vrindaye Tulasi Devaye Priyaye Kesavasaja Krishna Bhakti Pade Devi Sattavate Namo Namo Jai Sri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhara Sivasadi Gaura Bhakta Vrinda Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, dear devotees, Prabhus and mothers, please accept my obeisances. I am very grateful to be here, and I also appreciate you giving me opportunity to serve you through Harikatha. And I also want to express my gratitude to Srila Prabhupada and all my well-wisher, Sripad Radhanath Maharaj, all the spiritual preceptor, including Panchatattva and Rasim Radha Krishna. So our topics for today was holy name, but then this morning occurred in the calendar, I was looking at Ramananda Rai's disappearance day. So we thought, because something will bother in my heart, because Srila Jiva Goswami Pad says, why the Gauriya Vaishnava celebrate a particular day for the appearance and disappearance? Is that just because they appeared on that day, or there is a more than that? It says that on that day, a particular personality, because they exist on a pure goodness, Suddha Satta, they can actually evoke. I have a material senses, but material senses also belongs to Krishna. So when in that relationship I offer, then it becomes spiritualized. Actually, they can hear our discussion and prayers. And then from the spiritual world, they bless us. It motivated me since many years. I'm thinking like every day, if there is some specialty, we must talk at least few minutes, because that day, today Ramananda Rai in spiritual world, whether Vishaka Devi or Ramananda Rai, both, they will bless us. Knowing that in Orlando, devotees are enthusiastically eager to hear about him and his relationship with Mahaprabhu. So also I'll connect with the holy name. I just wanted to give a brief idea. I remember many years back when I read Bhakti Vikas Maharaj's book, was very interesting topics was there, that Srila Prabhupada, when he was a householder, he, in their conversation with Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Thakur, one time Srila Prabhupada asked his Guru Maharaj a question relevant to our life. And that time Prabhupada was a grihastha with family and children. So he said, he asked the question about bhoga and tyaga. Bhoga means enjoyment and tyaga means renunciation. So then Prabhupada actually cited the behavior of Rupa Goswami, who left everything for Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, for Chaitanya Mahaprabhu's service, and Ramananda Rai, who served Chaitanya Mahaprabhu as an opulent householder with retirement. You know, like we have a job and we have a future retirement. You never heard that? Everybody has some retirement fund. You know, they work and say, is that, and then you hear that, oh, you want to take care of your future? Then Krishna say, okay, you take care of your future, I don't have to take care. But that's not true. This conversation actually deletes that view. Because Srila Prabhupada asked Bhakti Siddhanta Thakur that Ramananda Rai was very opulent and he used to get pension, they call in India, called pension. When you retire from governor position, you get a pension. And King Prataprudra gave him pension every month. So Prabhupada's question was that one example is Rupa Goswami Pad, who gave up his job and took the mendicant life, gave up completely everything, 50% to Krishna consciousness, 25%, to the relatives, and some are savings which Sanatana Goswami Pad actually used to bribe the jail keeper. You know that story. So then Srila Bhakti Siddhanta Thakur says that example of a woman in Vedic culture, how she would dress. Bhakti Siddhanta Thakur says that when her husband was absent, she would wear plain clothes, no ornaments, no combing her hair. But when her husband was at home, she would bathe twice daily, dress herself attractively, apply perfume oil, ornaments to her body, and appear fully decorated for her husband's pleasure. So her acceptance or renunciation of attractive appearance was based on service to her husband. I hope everybody got it. It's based on her service to her husband. Similarly, Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Thakur told to Prabhupada, a devotee is prepared to renounce everything for the sake of serving Krishna, yet is also willing to live in a luxury, gorgeous life, if thereby Krishna can be better served. So in other words, this is my opinion. Do not judge any devotee. Whether they are rich or poor, try to serve according to their need. So for a devotee, there is no personal consideration. Bhakti Siddhanta Thakur ended with that. He simply wishes to serve Krishna as well as possible and conduct his life accordingly. Now, this is a good lesson on this day, Ramananda Rai's Disappearance Day. Prabhupada's wonderful question to his Guru Maharaj for applicable, relevant to us. It says that Chaitanya Mahaprabhu's mercy have taken so many forms. And we are chanting every day holy name. Holy name will only manifest in pure state when you actually identify the holy name, who is holy name. Otherwise, will be namakshara or alphabet, KRSNA. But holy name is supreme absolute truth. So one of the few things elaborated by Bhaktivinoda Thakur to have a pure name, that we have to be fully aware the identity of the holy name. Otherwise, it is not possible to have the holy name turn into pure name. Pure name means which is devoid of three things: namaparad, namabhas, and bevadhan. Generally, you don't hear about bevadhan. You hear about namaparad and namabhas so much. So Bhaktivinoda Thakur, he stresses and he elaborately explained this in a place called Kulingram. And I'll tell you a story of Kulingram and then we'll go there and come back maybe Ramananda Rai's point. When Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Thakur, he was 11 years old. He used to travel with his father. And his father had a dream of Lord Shiva. The Lord Shiva came to Bhaktivinoda Thakur in the dream and he said, why you are thinking of going to Vrindavan? Who is going to do the preaching of Lord Chaitanya? You have so much work to be done here. You're thinking of Vrindavan, what about Navadvip? What about Mayapur? What about the birthplace? There was no birthplace at that time. So Bhaktivinoda Thakur changed his whole view. So he started traveling to different holy places of Lord Chaitanya just to grasp the idea where is what is the condition that time. So one of the place was Kulingram, very famous. And Bhaktivinoda Thakur went with his son. Just on outskirt Kulingram, as they were entering the village, they passed an old temple. And in the suddenly a man came out of the temple. Now you have to pay attention because I'm going to ask you at the end what happened. And humbly asked them, please stay the night here. In the morning you may enter the village, take darshan of all the places there. And Bhaktivinoda Thakur and Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Thakur, at that time his name was Bimala Prasad, young boy, 11, who at that time very curious to travel and learn through his father. So they stayed in that temple guest house. But what happened, as after the nightfall, they were resting, Bhaktivinoda Thakur experienced something unusual. He found that the bricks bats were being thrown about from different directions. He thought, how is this happening and why? Who would throw big, bricks bats like this in the middle of the night? Then he had some apprehension that there might be ghosts living in this temple. Now you cannot imagine Krishna temple and ghost, how does it relate? But this is a real story, documented, Bhaktivinoda Thakur, own handwriting. And it created disturbance. He went to sleep and again this sound. So he began loudly chanting Hare Krishna. Bhaktivinoda Thakur, one thing was, he always used to have a japamala near his bed. I learned that. It was a very nice lesson. Then Bhaktivinoda Thakur started chanting, and as the time is passing by, then Bhaktivinoda Thakur noticed that no more sound. Then he thought, okay, and he had a watch, British watch, not a watch, it's called a pocket watch. And it is a watch. So he began taking a little more rest. And then again, the disturbance came. So this time he thought, okay, I'm not going to sleep anymore. I'll just chant. And Bimala Prasad was resting. After some time, the disturbance disappeared. So Bhaktivinoda Thakur and Bimala Prasad, as they woke up in the morning, they entered the village and began visiting different holy places. But after some time, I'm sure you all can imagine the village life, how people react. So you have to take yourself out of Orlando to India, some village called Kulingram. So villager, when they saw this old temple, some 2 persons are coming out, they all like noticing, hey, who they are? Because they have a different idea about the temple. It was a temple Mahaprabhu's time, but then it became a ghost-hunted temple and nobody ever goes there. Now Bhaktivinoda Thakur did not know, Bimala Prasad did not know. So when they're coming, can you imagine you coming out of the house and you all of a sudden notice that 2 persons coming out of the temple that nobody visit there, and you wondering whether they are ghosts or they're real. Of course, Bhaktivinoda Thakur and Bhakti Siddhanta Thakur was not known by anybody at that time. But Bhaktivinoda Thakur was known as a magistrate, holding the highest rank as an Indian. That was all over Bengal, that area. So then they were like asking, and they came nearby. They asked, where do you come from? And where did you spend the night? What a question. And Bhaktivinoda Thakur explained, we stayed in their temple. Inside there is a room, and somebody invited us to stay there. So we stayed there. There was some dust, we cleaned it up, and then there was a bed. And they were like shocked to hear all this. One of them said, oh, how could you stay there? So many ghosts live there. Throw stones and bricks at anyone who passes by that place at night. How could you stay there? Bhaktivinoda Thakur said, yes, you are right. But when I found such disturbance there, I began to loudly chant Hare Krishna Mahamantra. Subsequently, the problem disappeared. The man of the village, the leader, who called Pradhan, in the village, every village in India, there is some kind of a leader. Then asked Bhaktivinoda Thakur, who are you? And why did you come here? So Bhaktivinoda Thakur introduced himself, who he is. Then they heard about him, but they never met him. So then some of them even expressed that they read his books. Bhaktivinoda Thakur already published some books that time. So they welcomed, and at one place they had a meeting, and then they asked a very nice question. How can devotee become ghost when he chant Hare Krishna Mahamantra? And then they revealed that the priest who was so dedicated there, why did he hang himself and became a ghost? And why Krishna did not take care of him? The typical question that comes in our head. So, and then they express, of course, that they witnessed so many things in their life that they were always uncomfortable. And nobody ever comes to this village, even though this village was so popular, Mahaprabhu's time, Kulingram. You'll see in Chaitanya Charitamrita. Mahaprabhu says, even the dog of the Kulingram is very dear to him. That's very profound, the way Mahaprabhu says. Bhaktivinoda Thakur told them, the priest have only repeated the syllable of the name. It's very interesting. He said he never chanted pure name. He only chanted syllable. He said, but we saw him chanting every day. He said, yes, syllable he was chanting. This is mic sound, a physical, lip deep sound. It did not have spiritual essence. The life of the name was absent when he was chanting. This is very important. It was nam aparad, offensive chanting. Bhaktivinoda asked them, what was his character? They said, well, he was not so good. He was a little mean to the devotees always. He's showing off that he is the priest. He knows God. He knows Krishna, and he was very proud. But he would do his daily sadhana. But we can't deny the fact that he is to be attached to the deity and his chanting. So then they asked, how did he become ghost? So Bhaktivinoda Thakur explained that the physical sound of the name is not the name proper. The priest had become committing offense to the holy name, Namaparad, and as a result became ghost. Then they asked, how can he be released from the wretched condition? Bhaktivinoda Thakur says, if he meets a bona fide sadhu who has a genuine connection with Krishna, and he hears the real name, the proper explanation of Bhagavad Gita, Srimad Bhagavatam from his lips, then he may be released from his ghostly condition. So it is mentioned in the scripture, Bhaktivinoda Thakur says, this is only way to become free from the entanglement of material nature. And after this discussion, Bhaktivinoda Thakur and Bhakti Siddhanta Thakur left Kulingram. From that day, there was absolutely no trouble and never ever became ever disturbance. And then the villager, they realized that Bhaktivinoda Thakur and Bimala Prasad, they are Mahabhagavat. Because they chanted just for little time, they had a power to deghost, and not only that, deliver that devotee also. So it was very, very interesting experience. And Bimala Prasad, he recalled all those pastimes in his childhood that he faced. After that, of course, they invited Bhaktivinoda Thakur to come again, and they had a long discussion about the pure name, how they should chant pure name. So Bhaktivinoda Thakur, when he came home, he composed this book, Harinam Chintamani, which I did as a seminar for some time. It was very fascinating, but it is so vast. And before, it woke me up literally. Before I thought I knew how to chant, but the result that I see happening, it did not give me a good feeling. But then after practicing this, according to Harinam Chintamani, I see the result. You know, I'm not a pure devotee, but whatever the result is coming, it's very convincing, very joyful. So I'm going to share a few minutes of that. That Chaitanya Mahaprabhu is the most munificent incarnation. But when you ask that question to yourself, you should be able to say 3, 4, 5, 10 things about Mahaprabhu. And if you cannot say, then your chanting is not carrying that substance. We are not after the form, we are after the substance. Holy name, it appears like a form also, but we are after substance. Veddam bastavam atra vastu, Shivadam trapatrayana mulanam. That if we can actually approach holy name with that service attitude, then it will uproot our all conditioning and will be instantly liberated. So what is Mahaprabhu's munificent exhibition in this world? Well, few things I can say, and you can also add as you like, or you should meditate actually. All this point, Bhaktivinoda Thakur says, before we chant and during chanting. No incarnation of Krishna or Vishnu ever came to give love of Godhead except Mahaprabhu. So first thing we should immediately click. It is not Krishna, it is not Vishnu, it is nobody, even though they are same. But Mahaprabhu has a speciality. That form only gave love of Godhead. Krishna did not give, no Vishnu incarnation gave, nobody. But we do not disrespect or anything, but we should have a specific glorification on Mahaprabhu, beginning. Then he gave the most valuable treasure ever any incarnation gave to who? To the most fallen conditioned soul. And then it says that all other incarnation, even Jagannath, right at this moment, the people goes to Jagannath Ratha Jatra, they get two results. They get bhoga and moksha. I want to have a comfortable life. I want to take Krishna consciousness as a religious life. So I can have a good religious life, pious life, spiritual life. And at the end, I'll get liberation. You never heard? This is amongst the 99% devotees. 99% Ratha Jatra in Jagannath Puri. Clearly it says there, bhoga and moksha. This is they think. I'm going to Ratha Jatra, so I'll have my family will be happy, everybody will be happy, my job will be there, car, whatever, everything will be okay. And at the end of life, I'll go back. This is the idea. Not that they go to Golok Vrindavan, they get liberation. Yes, they do, if they follow like this. But Mahaprabhu did not come to give this. Bhaktivinoda Thakur stresses this. Do not focus those when you chant. Whose name you chanting? He's hammering on this. He said Chaitanya Mahaprabhu revealed various aspects of devotion through another key point, through many devotees. Whenever we chant, we should immediately think, Mahaprabhu revealed through Ramananda Rai, what did he teach? The goal of life. When you say Hare Krishna, we immediately have to think all those topics within. That is the substance. Through the mouth of Sarvabhauma Bhattacharya, what did he teach? Ultimate defeat of impersonalism. Madhya Lila chapter 6, it's wonderful. That's why Prabhupada started Sankirtan. Same time he also started distributing books. If Kirtan, holy name is everything, then why Prabhupada did both? Why Bhaktivinoda Thakur, Bhaktisiddhanta Thakur, they're doing both. Why not just chant? Forget everything else. No need to talk. No need to give speech. Prabhupada constantly speaking and distributing books, also distributing holy name, Sankirtan. So we have to understand from a practical real. Through Rupa Goswami Pad, what did Mahaprabhu give? Bhaktivinoda Thakur said, these are the focus point. That's what makes the substance of holy name. The analysis of rasa, relationship with the Lord. This is Rupa Goswami Pad established. He taught details. And through the Haridas Thakur, through the mouth of Haridas Thakur, the glories of the holy name. So you have to go like this list, all the associate, what did Mahaprabhu teach? Number 3, Krishna is completely independent. But his energy is never independent. We have to always think, Krishna is Sharat Shatantra, but he is always endowed with inconceivable, unlimited potencies. But those potencies are eternally dependent, not independent. In other words, if I'm sick, material nature has no power to do anything that is not sanctioned by holy name, not Krishna. See, you cannot make Bevadan, oh, Krishna is different than holy name. I'm going to chant so that I am praying to Krishna. No, holy name is Krishna. Otherwise, there is offense. We do not need to think there is a separate Krishna and the holy name. Holy name is first. First is name, then Rupam, then the form of God. The deity or Krishna's origin is actually, even in the material world, Prabhupada says in 3rd canto, 26th chapter, I believe, 32 text, the first creation is sound. Origin also spiritual creation is sound, the holy name. Holy name is the origin of everything. Nama, Rupa, then comes the form, then comes the guna, then comes the pastimes. We think thinking of Krishna means pastimes or quality. No, thinking of Krishna means holy name first. It's so important. So Krishna is always completely independent and free to act according to his desire. Krishna is always in company of his energy. Always we should think. And his energies are always depending on him. Krishna's energy are his attributes, and through this energy, Lord can perceive, or we can perceive Krishna. What will perceive Krishna? In a Vibhu, that he is omnipresence, he is omnipotent, he is omniscient. When we have a problem, I saw that, yeah, because I investigated, you know, I have a little critical mind sometimes. So one devotee was sick, so I asked, why are you praying to Krishna for? Well, he's omnipotent. What does that mean? Means he's more powerful than my doctor and myself can take care of my problem with the help. Oh, that's very good. But what about he's omniscient? That he knows why you're suffering. Or we don't. We believe that he is very powerful, more than doctor and myself can take care of my body. But what about his omniscient? He knows my past, present, future. He knows even why I'm going through. So the prayer should not be for cure. Prayer should be to think of him, to serve him. Then if the body is required to be cured, he will cure automatically. Generally, we focus on omnipotent, not omniscient. Krishna is more intelligent than our doctor's intelligent or my intelligence. So Bhaktivinoda Thakur made those points. I'm just giving a relevant to here. And all these energies are called Vaibhavas. And there are three most important Vaibhavas. One is the Chit Vaibhav. Chit Vaibhav means the spiritual manifestation. There is nothing absolutely in the spiritual world, even a dust. Everything is owned and controlled by Krishna, but in a loving relation, not dictatorship. Spiritual manifestation, Bhaktivinoda Thakur writes, it consists of elements which are known as Vishnupada, like Prabhupada. We address those. And those elements are inseparable from the Lord. Krishna's unlimited names like Govinda, Krishna, Gopal, his unlimited forms, two-hand form, four-hand form, unlimited forms. Krishna's unlimited pastimes like Braja Leela, Navadvip Leela, even Leela is still going on. Krishna's spiritual abode, Golok Vrindavan, Vaikuntha, all this. Krishna's unlimited quality like he's very affectionate. He is always merciful. These things are eternally with him. And we must remember, these are called substance. When we chant, when we focus on this, then this what creates the name into pure name. Even if this spiritual manifestation descend to material world, they remain spiritual in nature and untouched by material contamination or models of material nature. Krishna and plenary Vishnu expansion are all pure goodness. This is very important. Our goal is to always act on a goodness platform. Now you may say, what is that means literally? Well, in Ramananda Sangha, let's see. In Ramananda Sangha, if you remember, I think it starts with from 57, 8, Madhya Lila chapter 8, text 57, the question answer starts. I'm going to give a little tips because many years I could not understand this discussion Ramananda Rai had with Mahaprabhu. I understand means I could not examine and comprehend, with my tiny puny grasp, because I have to grasp. And Prabhupada says very interesting point. He says it's a forced meditation. And I like that. That means we have to force ourselves. It's not going to happen automatically. We have to force ourselves. We want to understand. We want to learn. I want to chant. I want to serve. We have to force ourselves, as Prabhupada mentioned. So what is Ramananda Sangha, first of all? Then we'll come back to this. It will make sense. Ramananda Sangha, where Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, being the supreme spiritual master or supreme God, who wanted to distribute Krishna consciousness to the conditioned soul, desired to relish the highest pure form of love manifested by Srimati Radharani, Radha Bhavaddhuti, towards Lord Krishna. And he wanted to also distribute this to all the conditioned soul. Now, there is a famous verse in Chaitanya Charitamrita Lila, chapter 4. Sei dware achandale kirtana sanchare nama prema malagati paraila sansare. That Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, he spread the holy name amongst untouchable, achandal, beginning with the chandal. Chandal means dog eaters or something. Prabhupada translates sometime. And he overwrapped of holy name and love of Godhead, with which he garlanded the entire material world. Is Orlando within the material world? Is Florida within the material world? That's the question. If Florida is within the material world, are you in Florida? If you are in Florida, then you must be experiencing this ecstasy in Krishna consciousness. And if you say you are not in Bhava Bhakti, not experiencing pure love, then either you are not in this world or Mahaprabhu lied or Krishnadas Kaviraj Goswami lied. Well, first of all, Krishnadas Kaviraj Goswami did not lie because he was the most compassionate. He just gave the essence what Mahaprabhu did. And Mahaprabhu doesn't have to lie because he's supreme absolute truth. He has unlimited. So question comes in to us, why we are not, since this verse says, if you look at it, if anybody has the access of Chaitanya Charitamrita, chapter 4, text 40, it says that Mahaprabhu garlanded this entire material world with love of Godhead and holy name. So you are within the garland or you are outside the material world, that you are not part of it. So question need to be addressed. But Srila Gaur Govinda Maharaj answered that in his way. He said, he brought reference from Bhagavatam 8th canto, where Prabhupada said everybody in this material world are in three conditions. They are either sleeping or dreaming or in deep sleep. Now, if somebody give you a big check, $1 billion check, and if you are sleeping or dreaming or deep sleep, how you know the value of that $1 billion check? Will you ever know? Perhaps never. So what do you have to do first? You have to wake up. One has to wake up and first see the check. So in order to wake up, they have to be awakened. And if they're pretending, I don't mean to insult anybody, but this is what Prabhupada says. He said most of the Indians in India were pretender. He said they are pretending sleeping. Because Prabhupada tried to establish Krishna consciousness amongst his friends. He asked them to give their children so he can teach them. And Prabhupada said in Mathura, one businessman said, Maharaj, what they're going to do? Learning Krishna consciousness, you are asking me so many times. What my children going to do after they learn Krishna consciousness? They will become a beggar. We don't want beggar. So Prabhupada said nobody gave him. Prabhupada was really not feeling happy that none of friend that he knew when he was a sadhu in Vrindavan gave to become. Of course, now they regret. Most of them probably passed away. But they regret that what they lost. So there Prabhupada says in that lecture that most of the Indians are pretenders. They hear about Krishna, they know about Ram, they know Bhagavad Gita, but they have no idea. They never accessed, they never entered. He even told about his family. Recently, I just read other day again. Prabhupada said, none of my family member or relative ever took me seriously. That hurt me because I'm scared also myself that am I not taking Prabhupada seriously because we are too long in the ISKCON? We may take it like it's the easy way. Yeah, I know. We'll go to Sunday feast. Yeah, and the whole week I don't do anything, just hanging around. We have to be very careful. And Prabhupada was disappointed. He said, none of my family member or my children, and nobody took me seriously. I tried. It was very little depressing, in a sense. But of course, Krishna has his plan, obviously. So this point of Ramananda Sangbad is explained that Krishnadas Kaviraj Goswami explaining that Chaitanya Mahaprabhu is like a ocean of nectar. And ocean. And Ramananda Rai, what he's doing, he is like a sun sucks the water from the ocean, creates a cloud, and it makes it into sweet water instead of ocean water. So this Krishna Samudra or Krishna ocean water churned by Ramananda Rai and turned into a sweet nectar water. And this is what coming out from Ramananda Rai. And Lord Chaitanya is drinking that nectar. And whatever is left is for us, all the children, those who are coming. I hope everybody take advantage of this Krishna consciousness movement, because after 10,000 years, you will not hear anything like this. So there is a 6 gradation in that dialogues. I'm sure you heard this many times. First is Varnashram Dharma. Then Mahaprabhu says that is external. Now, who is Ramananda Roy? Is I mentioned about Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, but Ramananda Roy, his last name was not a Roy. His name was Patnaik. And Patnaik, he was an expert in a display of a different Krishna or Jagannath Leela in a dramatic format. And one time he did so wonderfully, the whole audience started crying for Krishna. And when king saw that, he changed his last name. He says, your name is Roy. You are no more Patnayak. Because you actually make people love God more than I ever saw. And he lives, we went one time, it's called Brahmagiri near Alalnath. That's where his house was, his 5 brothers. So Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, in his discussion with Ramananda, so I'm just giving you a little tip so you know Ramananda Rai is so powerful. So Ramananda Rai was asked by Chaitanya Mahaprabhu that please tell me what is goal of life and how to ascertain. So I'm not going whole explanation, but just the first 2 because it's relevant to our life. He says, Prabhu kahe paraslok sadhara ninay, Rai kahe sadharma charane Vishnu bhakti hai. That I'm going to translate in my way, I understand. That Chaitanya Mahaprabhu began, O Ramananda Rai, please tell me ultimate goal of life and how to obtain it. But don't say, what do you think? See, this is a very nice point. He did not say, what do you think? He said, refer me as scriptures, authority. When you say this is the goal of life, you must cite or quote a reference where authority has established. I'm not interested, even though Ramananda Rai is eternal associate, but Mahaprabhu did not say, I want to hear his own opinion. He said, Paraslok Sadhara Ninai means recite something with reference that it established. So then he says the Varnashram Dharma. Varnashrama Charavata Purushena Parapuman Vishnu Aradhate Panta Nannat Tattoso Karanam. Supreme Personality of Godhead, Lord Vishnu, is worshipped by the proper execution of prescribed duties in the system of Varna and Ashram. There is no other way to satisfy the Supreme Personality of Godhead. One must be situated in the institution of the 4 Varna and Ashram. Just imagine if you have your life, you have some desire. If those desires are accommodated with Krishna consciousness, within Krishna consciousness community, you can easily chant, isn't? But if you have a desire to make money, to get married, but Krishna consciousness temple does not have a facility, then you feel like, oh, now I have to go outside and find a job. So Varnashram is a community care system where everybody, what they are born with, a particular inclination, would be accommodated or guided. Okay, you have a Kshatriya mentality. For an example, we say we are going to build a temple in Orlando, big temple, giant temple. Now, some devotee will be thinking, what is the purpose of the temple? Oh, we'll have a Harikatha every day, maybe 3 times a day or 10 times a day, something like that. Then some devotee will be thinking, how much money is required? They will be thinking, you didn't say, you just announced it. They're thinking, how much money is required? It's a lot of money. Oh my God, how are we going to collect this? Some people will be thinking how it's going to be managed and who will be taking care of what. And it's, oh, this will be like a lot of struggle. Some people will be thinking, oh my God, cleaning, maintaining, oh my Lord. And some few will be thinking, just for Harikatha, why not we start now? Why do we have to wait for the temple? Those who are thinking, then why wait for temple to open? They are not against it or for it. We should do the Harikatha anyway. Why not now? They are called Brahmanas. Just giving you some idea, practical. If somebody is thinking like, who is going to administer, manage, they have a little Kshatriya mentality. They are born with it. Nothing they can do about it. It's automatic. Those who are thinking like, how much money to build this, where the money is coming from, they have a Vaishya mentality. So we are actually born with a particular nature of these three modes combination. We have no way to escape from it until the last breath, or you become a pure devotee instantly. There is no other way you can escape. You have to experience. Aprarabdha kobi nahi khai, phalabhoga bina kabu. Prarabdha aprarabdha, no, prarabdha karma kabu nahi khai, phalabhoga bina kabu. Brahmabhuta ji, phalabhoga lagi, janama marana labu. That nobody can escape what they are destined to face as a result of their previous life. It was very interesting, that verse in Chaitanya Charitamrita emphasized this, Mahaprabhu's discussion with Sanatana Goswami. So back to this, then in Varnashram system, why Varnashram system? Mahaprabhu says it's external, go further. I'm just going to end with this analogy, that when similar thing Arjuna had a problem. So you can relate. When Arjuna asked the question to Krishna, what does Krishna do? This is the key point we can learn. To answer the question, Krishna changes the frame of reference. And we need to do this, each of us. How? Arjuna's question is whether he was a Kshatriya. If he's a Kshatriya, we are born, everybody understood, we are born with a particular nature. Nothing you can do about it. So Arjuna was born as a Kshatriya, means he has to kill the aggressor, protect the family. Also, he coming from a particular dynasty that he has to protect them. So he has to kill the aggressor, he also protect. This is the two duty he had. One is Kshatriya Dharma, one is Kula Dharma, in Sanskrit called. Kula Dharma and Kshatriya Dharma. And Arjuna got bewildered. Oh, I can't do it. Because the aggressor are the same people I'm supposed to protect. Is the grandfather, is the guru, is the cousins, is all the relatives. I'm supposed to kill them. And if I don't kill them, I'm not doing my Kshatriya Dharma. And if I kill them, then I'm going against the Kula Dharma. So he saw his Gandiva falling apart. Not falling apart, slipping off. And he told Krishna, I can't do it. And he sat down. Please instruct me. Krishna is so genius, so loving. What did Krishna do? How did he reply? It's a very nice key point in our life we can use. Krishna tells Arjuna, you are neither Kshatriya nor Kula Dharmik. You are a soul. Dehinosmin jata dehe komaram jovanam jara tata dehantar prapti dhirastatva. You are not a Kshatriya Arjuna, and you are not a Kula Dharmik that you have to protect. So then, as of that, the whole idea of second chapter Bhagavad Gita, how Krishna was so wonderfully shifted Arjuna's view from his functional identity to the fundamental identity. He said, fundamentally, everyone is a soul. Their prime duty to serve the super soul, to God. That is the fundamental identity. But as a Kshatriya, you have a functional identity. You are a businessman, you are a husband, you are a wife. These are functional identity. These are not fundamental identity. But we are not denying those, not reject those. Because at the end, when Arjuna fought for Krishna, did he give up fighting? No. But what did he change? What was the shifting point? Shifting point was, that's why Varnashram was rejected in that sense, Mahaprabhu, as for ultimate goal. He said, that's not ultimate goal. Means, if you only fight as a Kshatriya, that's not going to please me. If you fight as a Kula Dharmik, that you are loyal to your family and this, that, That's not going to please me. What will please? He said, act on my behalf, act as an instrument. So we all devotee can act on behalf of Prabhupada and Krishna. When Arjuna agreed and completely surrendered, he picked up the Gandiva and he says, okay, I'm ready to execute anything you want me to do. That is what Varnashram plays the role. Arjuna fought as a Kshatriya under fundamental identity that I am here to please Krishna, not fighting as a Kshatriya. Before he wanted to be a fighter or not fighter, that was a big problem. And we will all have a big problem if we do not come to fundamental identity. Then whatever your functional identity, you can put it under fundamental, then no problem. And that's why our ultimate goal will be realized through our relationship with Krishna. And the whole chapter of Ramananda Sangha ended with that. Gaur Pramanande Hari Hari Bol. Any question or any reflection?
Thank you so much, Pran Govind. This is some Krishna. Yes, that was an interesting point between functional and fundamental. And I think that that's, it states, just remember who we are. And how can we, I know that you were talking about chanting and chanting the name of Krishna. That's the name of Krishna is Krishna himself. And that was also an excellent point. So how do we transform or evolve ourselves from this functional mentality to this fundamental mentality? Do you have an advice? And does that happen as a reflection of our desire to serve Krishna more? Or does it happen just automatically? How is that transformation happening?
Very thoughtful question, Prabhu. Thank you. No, there's no automatic. Krishna consciousness is not automatic, I tell you, very boldly. Because I used to think, you keep on going, eventually everything will be okay, you will be in spiritual world. No. It is intentional. What you want, Krishna will reciprocate with that. Because Mayavad is also chanting sometime. Not sometime, they do. They worship Krishna. They do most of the things like we do. But they are offender. Why? Because they are intention. What is Namaparad? Namaparad is uttering a name which is consciously made in the heart. In the heart means you, in your thinking, in your feeling, in your awareness, with the enmity. So it is intentional. We have to have a constant awareness that am I following Prabhupada's instruction? Am I following this, what Mahaprabhu came to give through Prabhupada? Am I following this? Then this is fundamental. What about my family and others? Yes, they belong to Krishna, first fundamental identity. They belong to Krishna. Krishna has given me under my care. I must do a wonderful service that my family, children, they will turn towards Krishna. Then Krishna will be happy. So it's not taking care of the family. It is the fundamental identity is to please Krishna. It has to be main focus. For Krishna's pleasure, I'll take care of my family. And you will do better. We'll do better job that way. Because our intention is to please Krishna. Arjuna was so excited to kill. And there was three things exhibited during the war. affection, care, and protection. In Jayadratha's case, you can see in the 11th chapter, Jayadratha's name was mentioned in the universal form. So Arjuna actually saw Jayadratha is already dead. You know, Bhishma is dead. There are few names mentioned. But when Abhimannu's case came, that Abhimannu was brutally killed in Buhas, Arjuna got so angry. So he took a vow, before sunset, I'm going to kill Jayadratha. And Krishna comes, patting his back. Arjuna, he took a serious vow. How are you going to do it? Because he got a blessing from Shiva that until his father put the head down, nobody can kill him. And Arjuna is a genius devotee. And Prabhupada says in that topic, Prabhupada said, we should take advantage of Krishna like this in our spiritual path right now. So Arjuna said to Krishna, you know my power, I don't have any power, but I know your power. You are omnipotent, omniscient, you know everything. Together, we can win the war. And Krishna smiled. Krishna loved it. Krishna loves in our spiritual path when we reciprocate with him every day. If you are happy, say, thank you, Krishna. I feel very happy to chant. I feel very happy. Oh, Krishna, I have a headache. I'm trying to serve your name, but I'm experiencing very difficult. You're not asking Krishna, just give me headache less so I can do whatever I want to do. No, you are actually expressing Krishna that you are serving. It is a forced meditation, means consciously we have to always think. Then our life will be perfect. Perfect in a sense, it will please Krishna. That's all it matters.
Thank you,
I hope
Prabhu.
that helps.
Yes, thank you so much, Prabhu.
Any other reflection? Otherwise, we can close.
Hare Krishna, Prabhuji.
Hare Krishna, Mata.
Dandavat pranam to Srila Prabhupada. I had a question about what you had stated in the very beginning with that story of the pujari who became a ghost because he did not chant the holy name attentively. So how do we reconcile that when we also know about the story of Ajamil, who did not even mean to chant the name? It was a namabhas, and he attained that state. So, I mean, I'm not kind of refuting the point that yes, we need to chant attentively, but to think that we could become a ghost is a little scary. So.
Easiest way will be you can ask to Bhaktivinoda Thakur, he will tell you. And or we can try also to answer. Ajamil actually did not go to Vaikuntha. The Bhagavatam doesn't say. Bhagavatam says that Ajamil heard the conversation. He heard the 3 Jamadutas and 4 Vishnuduta. They are having conversation about him. And he's witnessing both of their discussion. He was not even in the conversation. He's just witnessing. But what he did after conversation, that's what made him pure and went back home. And Prabhupada writes, if you look at in the 6th chapter, Prabhupada writes, this is very important that Ajamil took it immediately, seriously. He went to Hardwar. For 12 years, he did severe austerity of chanting the holy name and repented. Then the same 4 Vishnudutta that he saw, he didn't know it was real or not because he doubted. At one point, he saw that both disappear, everything disappear. But it has impacted in his consciousness. And the process he took so seriously, as soon we repent, or first of all, we have to acknowledge. Repentance will not come without acknowledging that I am not serving. That devotee, I don't know exactly what the detailed story, but what I read, that Bhaktivinoda Thakur own writing, that devotee was so proud. He was actually disrespecting the other Vaishnavas. It is not possible to chant pure name by disrespecting Vaishnavas. Impossible. Impossible. There is no such thing. It's just opposite. So that's why Bhaktivinoda Thakur write that he was chanting Namaparad. Because Namaparad, 10 offenses. The first offense is against the Vaishnavas. And there are 6 types. 6 types of the first offense. So he was committing a serious offense. That's why he never got. But your question is legitimate. And it's very nice because Ajamil's story is wonderful. Also, we see the Ajamil was a pious devotee in his previous life. Actually, he did something big mistake. And in this life, he had to experience. This is scary. Sometimes we feel like, so say, if somebody passed away, we say, oh, that's so nice. He went back to home, back to Godhead, or she went back home. It's very nice, soothing. So we had a recently discussion among some senior devotee Prabhupada's disciple. We found Prabhupada never said like that. It's a new invention amongst us. We think anybody died, oh, he went back home, or she went back home. Prabhupada never said. Srutakirti Prabhu, I have his Facebook messages. I corresponded a few times. He said, one answer, he said, Prabhupada always says, I hope that devotee remember Krishna at the moment of death. This is a scientific. We want to follow like this, not sentimentally. Because I like that devotee, oh, he went or she went back home, back to God. Ari Baba, who are you to decide? Only Krishna knows. So that's why I like the way Prabhupada answered. We should think like this. But last life, Ajamil had some serious problem. He actually committed offense against his guru. And one Mataji. And that Mataji's form came as a prostitute to pull him down, to experience something. This is very dangerous. We have to be very respectful to Prabhus and Matajis same time. They're all Vaishnavis. So hope it doesn't have to be 80 years to experience that and then come to seriousness. And how do I know that Jamaduta and Vishnuduta will appear to converse to wake me up? So I don't know if that helps you some.
Yes, Prabhuji, and actually that was I think what you nailed, the point that you nailed here is that it's not so much of Nama Prad or Nama Bhas that brought the downfall, it is the Vaishnava Prad. And that is that we all have heard so many times that's a crime that just cannot be, there's no redemption, right? It's really beyond, when we know so many stories about that. So yes, and we have to be so careful about Vaishnava Prad, because it can be subtle too. It can be very subtle and have great ramifications.
Yes. Also, maybe I'll send to Rasabigra Prabhu, he can send it to you. There is a beautiful letter Prabhupada wrote to Atri Rishi Prabhu. I love that letter. He says, I'm paraphrasing, he says, when devotee, as in the devotee association in our society, we should not have a utopia idea. It's like once you join, oh, everything is perfect, pure. Prabhupada said that's impersonalism. But we are personal. Each devotee has a different issues. It's such a beautiful letter he wrote. He said we should not be utopia's idea. That once come to temple, like why in the temple some devotee are mean? Are Baba, they are a person. Each person has their own preference, character. They all have come to take shower, to clean their heart. But while they are cleaning, we should not find the fault. But it is happening. We hear this, but still we create. So I love that letter. Is the Prabhupada really nailed down? We should be very practical that yes, each devotee in their different level, there will be always differences. You will never find same liking. It's not possible. Because Rupa Goswami Pad gave this gradation. Shraddha, Sadhu Sangha. Somebody could be in the Nishta stage. When the temptation comes, Nishta stage will think, I really have nothing to do. I don't want to go for it. I am not interested. So he will not be succumbed easily. But if somebody is on Anartha Nibriti or Bhajana Kriya, he or she will be succumbed, whatever the temptation is. And then probably like, well, how can the other devotee cannot fall for it and I am, that's not actually question. Question is, we have to respect the devotee who did not fall for succumb because he is advanced stage. It's not that he did not see, he's not a blind, but in a different level. So that's why Rupa Goswami Pad even give a very nice. He says, when you advancing, see some of your old friend will be eventually may come along and most of the time they will fall apart. And you will have a new friendship with those who are advancing in the same speed like you or higher. And you should not be disturbed by that. When I read that, I was like, could not understand. And then Bhakti Siddhanta Thakur gave a comment. He said, if you see one or two devotees supporting your advancement, you should be thankful and appreciate the Lord. I was thinking, why 1, 2? There's thousands of devotees, why 1, 2? But it took many years for me to understand. Radhanath Maharaj actually helped me one time. He said, it is difficult to actually somebody support your advancement because each of us has a different gradation. And in our bhakti path, the ladder is 7 steps in this life. Then next life, 7 more steps. But after these 7 steps, we have no fear. Yogamaya takes over. No more Mahamaya. But in the Mahamayas, under these 7 steps is very difficult. Shraddha, Sadhu Sangha, Bhajana Kriya, Anartha Nibriti. Oh, Anartha Nibriti is like, oh my God, it itself is like a whole life operation. So we'll always will have a difference. So what my conclusion I found that helped me, even I may not like another devotee's behavior or character or attitude, because these are the things actually Krishna is looking right now. He's looking our devotional attitude, how our spiritual attitude, from material attitude to spiritual attitude, how our character is built. This is exactly what Krishna is looking for in the prison from the criminal like me. So as long I don't have bad feeling or disrespect to other Vaishnavas, even though I don't like it, but their essential interest is for the same purpose I am here. I should focus why this devotee is here, because he wants to be Krishna conscious. Whether I like his or her behavior or not, that's preference, you can say. It's not fundamental. Fundamental is that person is here for the same purpose I am here. I should focus on that. I don't like him or her, but him or her chanting every day, singing. Why not I focus on this? That's why I love some senior devotees. Giriraj Maharaj said his chest pain, I think I mentioned that story one time. And he had some kind of a sickness that he did not go away. But then he went to Ayurvedic doctor in South Africa and found out that he was holding grudge against some devan. And then all of a sudden he remembered 45 years back, one devotee who was little bit heavy with him in the Sankirtan, and he never liked that person. All of a sudden flashed back to him. And then, of course, he spoke to Radhanath Maharaj, and they both found great qualities of that devotee. And he called and he actually apologized, and he says, you know, you did so much service for Prabhupada, but because you were a little heavy with me and I took it in a wrong way, I'm sorry. All of a sudden, the sickness disappeared. So we learned from those things that we should focus on their fundamental, not functional, because we each are different. So that helped me a lot. And I hope I can stay there and not ever judge any devotee. You please pray and bless me also. Thank you.
And Prabhuji, one other thing I just wanted to have reflect on what you just said is, you know, from the story of Ajamil. So it again, you know, emphasizes on the point that without those basic steps of Shravanam and Kirtanam, Mananam also, because he thought about it, we really can't progress. So just by listening to that conversation, he was elevated, or at least he could set on that path of elevation. And that's very beautiful as well. Just kind of a reminder to us that there are no shortcuts, right? We do have to go on that path.
Yes. Thank you. I'm glad you caught that. Very good. Thank you. That's wonderful.
Jai Hare Krishna, Hari Hari Bol.
Hey, Mother Sri Shopadishad. How are you, Mata?
Jai, please accept my humble obeisances. All glories to Srila Prabhupada, all glories to Guru Day, and all you wonderful, wonderful Vaishnavas. Thank you so very much for reminding me of why, in my own personal experiences, I'm having so many pains in my body. It must be because I'm making so many aparats to other devotees. You know, that just hit the spot for me. Okay. For you reminding me, you know what I mean? We're always thinking of it as someone else's fault or, you know, someone else's cause, you know, but we never think, oh, what is it that I'm doing? You know? So thank you so very much for that reminder. You are so wonderful. Hari Hari Bol, Hare Krishna.
I don't mean for that, Mata, please bless me. You are senior devotee. You know, she actually went to same school with Bhakti Tirtha Maharaj. And then she became joined because of Bhakti Tirtha Maharaj. It's so nice. She's a wonderful mother.
Thank you, Ma. Thank you so much. Hari Hari Bol.
So we can end here?
Yes, Prabhuji, thank you so much for staying a little longer, and your question answers is like wonderful. We easily get simple points that we can quickly attach to. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Vancha kalpataruvesya kripa sindhamevacha. Patitanam pavanebhyo vaishnavebhyo namo namo. Srila Prabhupada ki jai. Devotee Vrinda ki jai.
Hare Krishna.